Wow. And do you think it's important to write about love nowadays?
I do. I mean, it's not easy to make anything up and make it sound great, but a party song is much easier to write about, or a breakup song even is much easier to write about than love, because love is just so dang hard. And so to really capture what you want to say, like American Scandal for me, to some people it sounds like a cheating song, and it's not. I mean, not for me, but really it's up to the listener. When we started to write that song, and my friend Terry Joe said, I don't know if we should be writing about love, you and I, because you like it when it's wrong, and I like it when it's right. And I'm like, I think you can have both at the same time. That's the whole point of this. And so we really, for me, we were able to nail what it's like to write about love in that song. That's one of the songs, every time I sing it, I feel it from my toes all the way out through my throat. And I think it's because I know that kind of love really is out there. I don't have it right now. I'm going to get it.
So it's important. Love is important in the end, both going right or wrong for your songs. Okay. So would you say that your life is the main subject for your lyrics?
It can be, but it's usually, I feel like I'm almost like a Roomba. Like I just go around collecting things, like something you might say or something. I might see something at a supermarket and take all of that and I put it in my pocket. And then when it's time to sit down and write, whether it's my experience or someone else's, I just take all of that out and kind of dump it in a pile, sift through it, and most of the time we can get a song out of it.
How does the writing process happen to you?
It's different every time. If I'm alone, it's usually all at once. Guitar, maybe play a little riff, see what that sounds like, what words that might sound like, and just whatever you're feeling, get it out. When you're co-writing, it's always different. Some people prefer to write lyrics only. I don't have very many co-writers that I write with that are like that. Just one really likes to write lyrics only, and then we'll come up with something melodic that fits that. Most of the time, especially if there's three of us, one of us had an idea, one of us has a guitar in our lap, and the other one is sitting here trying to help us form all of that together. And whoever's driving that vehicle will kind of present itself. Like, all right, so Nicolette is driving today, and we'll support that and try to get to the best place possible. And so my rules are the best word gets in the line gets in the song, and the best song gets on the record. It has nothing to do with who's the better writer or who's always quicker with a rhyme. It's just what's the best possible scenario for the song.
And how do you measure what's the best? What's your parameter to
as long as you accept that your idea is not always the best one. If you can just go, okay, well, I threw that line out, you threw that line out, and if you put those two, if you made them arm wrestle or put them in a fist fight, which one would win? Or does your line simply beat mine? Mine might have been clever. Yours might have been a little more clever. And as long as ego isn't in the room, the better line or the better word is not hard to figure out.
So to be in a band is a collective process.
Absolutely. Collaboration is the only way to get it right, is for everybody to be equal.
Okay. I'd like to talk a bit about the title of your album, because it's Girl Goin Nowhere.
Right.
But it's a bit of a contradiction.
It is. Considering how fast things are moving, it is a bit of a contradiction, yeah.
So was that purposeful?
It was. We had a couple of different ideas for the title of this record, and that song just kept sticking its face back out. And that song came from a teacher I had in high school who told me I was stupid for wanting to play music for a living. And so basically just tell me I was never going to get anywhere. And so it's a little bit of a, to her, for like, oh, you know what, we'll just name the record that. How's that? And it's also taken the stance as an underdog, not for the underdog, but just kind of, I'm a girl from the Ozark Mountains. And here I am putting this record out on Warner. So not bad for a girl going nowhere.
And what does it mean to be a girl from the Ozark Mountains?
I'm really proud that I'm from Arkansas, actually. We grew up way back in the woods, 6 kids, cattle farm. We worked hard. And there wasn't a lot out there. I mean, there was no internet then, there was no cable out that way. But there were things like guitars and mandolins, or trumpets and flutes and things like that. And I think that's part of the reason that my siblings and I were gifted in music. It's because it was either that or go fishing. I mean, those are the two things you had to do: take care of the livestock, and you could go camping or sit down and play your instrument.
So music, it was a pastime somehow, or it was something to deal with the boredom?
Yeah, sort of. Well, and actually for me, music is kind of, writing it and creating it is kind of how you handle the way you see the world. It's much cheaper than therapy to sit down and play a guitar. And I really enjoyed playing music my whole life. And so it was a way to stave off the boredom. In fact, I've never been bored, not since they gave me a guitar.
Right. And there is this one song in the record, Radioland.
Radioland.
Yeah. Because I also read that you were saying that when you were a kid, there was no internet, as you was just saying right now. So everything that you knew, it came to you.
Yeah,
through the radio.
Everything important to me came through the radio. That was the specials at the restaurant. There was one restaurant in my hometown, and so Fred's Fish House. They'd be like, and today at Fred's Fish House, here's the special. And then it was the special prices at the supermarket. Also, the school lunch menu. They announced it on the radio. The ball games. You could always find a church service on the radio if you were too sick to go to church or just not in a position to go. And
you could listen to music on the radio.
Yeah, and so everything I wanted, whether it was information or music, the radio was my Hollywood. All the celebrities and radio personalities were my celebrities, the local ones. And then we had, Trisha Yearwood and Mark Chestnut and George Strait and Garth Brooks, and they all existed right inside the dash of the truck, and I knew that that's where I wanted to be.
So when this was going to be my next question. So when you were listening to the radio, you thought, oh, I want to make music.
Yes.
To play on. So the radio it influenced your music somehow.
Absolutely. If it hadn't been for that one country station, in fact, I think it was like 13 miles from the farm. If it hadn't been for that country station, I might not have decided to do this for a living. I'm on a stage every single night, and if it hadn't been for the music and the radio personalities, I might not have done it. Right.
There's also there's one song in your record where you talk about your dad.
Yeah, a Bible and a 44.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there is this line on the song. He taught me how to hunt and how to love the Lord.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The whole lyrics. So besides the electric guitar, how has he influenced you as a musician, as a person?
My dad worked really, really hard my whole life, and he was a preacher for the better part of my young life before he decided to stop doing that. I really don't ever remember him not having a Bible and a gun all the time. He carried a 44 on his right hip, and whether it was on the dashboard or next to his chair, there was always a Bible present. And growing up in a really strict religious environment had a lot of influence on things. And really it caused me to have a good work ethic. So growing up in a place where the two things that are really important are, knowing how to feed your family and how to love the Lord. Really fear the Lord is what he would teach us to do, but it worked better to say love. And growing up that way and being willing to work really, really hard, no matter what you were doing, whether it was feeding cattle or studying your Bible or playing a guitar, it has a lot to do with, sometimes you got to do stuff you don't want to do, and it's just having a really great work ethic. Nobody works harder than that guy.
And you just mentioned that religion influenced your life, but as a listener, I didn't really hear that in the songs.
No, it's part of my life, but it hasn't really found a home really on the stage or on the record. I'm proud to give it a shout out to the way I was raised religiously, but it really hasn't poked its head through the lyrics.
Right. And how has been the public reaction to the songs that are out from the next record?
It's been blowing my mind. Like the way Dahlonega is taking off, and now American Scandal is out on XM radio, and people are really embracing it. And I was really hopeful that people would like it. I didn't know they would like it this much. It's taken off.
Right. All right, Ashley. Thank you. Thank you very much for our time.
It was nice talking to you today.
Yeah, thank you. Nice talking to you too.